everyone. This is Nathan Williams, BlackRain79. I'm here with William KhalDragon mates. Say hello there, man. What's
Hey
going
man,
on?
how you doing?
Pretty good. It's pretty good. So William, we were trying to get some video going on here. This is our first sort of webcast, whatever, and we kind of had technical difficulties with that, I guess. So, are you
I
still
think
there?
it sucks to kind of improvise things.
Yeah, we're
In poker we need to have a plan, and looks like we haven't planned it that much here.
Yeah, guys, we're kind of like poker players, and we're not really good at like fancy technical stuff. So we're gonna try to figure that out. Maybe for the if we do this again, if you guys are enjoying these. But basically, what we're gonna do today is just answer a bunch of questions that you guys sent to us. So William, I think we should both just introduce ourselves first. So there's probably some people out there who are listening to this right now who are like, "Who are these guys? And why should I listen to them?" So. Why don't you go ahead first and just give a sort of brief intro on who you are, your poker career, and all that kind of stuff?
Okay, so like you said, I'm William KhalDragon, mate, and I started playing poker. I think it's like just 3 years ago, more seriously, and I kind of started with your book, the Crushing the Micros, and then started going, look, studied a lot of books and a lot on my own, and at 2013, I was having quite a good side income, about I don't know, $2,000, something like that having only in poker. And then at this time, I was teaching at the university. I'm an engineer. I was teaching soil mechanics, and then I decided to quit and start to be playing poker full time. And now I'm a coach at bluffpoker.com. I'm playing mostly around the $50 games and mostly full rank. I have played up to 3-6, but I was getting stacked at that time, and now I'm on my own, playing mostly up to 1-2, but I can play as low as NL50 mostly.
Okay, good stuff. So I guess I'll just talk about myself real quick here. My name is Nathan Williams. I am known as BlackRain79 on in the online poker world. I'm that guy who's played millions and millions of hands at the micros, especially the the really lowest stakes. I've written a couple books on the game, as William mentioned, Crushing the Micro Stakes, and more recently, Modern Small Stakes. I'm also a coach at Drag the Bar, and I've played poker professionally or semi-professionally for the better part of the last 10 years. And usually, for the most part, at lower stakes though than William plays. The NL25, NL50, NL100 is kind of the highest that I've played regularly. So, and of course, people might know my website BlackRain79.com as well, where I'm always writing articles and all that stuff. So I think we
Best part of the 10 years.
what I meant by that is the better parts, meaning like most of the time in the last 10 years
Oh, okay.
that I've played poker either professionally or semi-professionally. I guess I should mention for everybody here. We should talk about ourselves a bit personally. Huh? I'm Canadian and you are Brazilian.
Brazilian,
All
yeah.
right. So, and I'm not in Canada right now. I'm in Thailand, where it is extremely early in the morning, and it is late at night, where William is, I believe.
Yeah, it's close to 10 p.m. here.
Right. So, but
But
that's
I think weather-wise, we are kind of close. The place where I live is an island too, and it's kind of a tropical island. It's Florianopolis, it's called.
Yeah, that is true. I'm living on an island as well. I posted some pictures the other day of some rather big lizards that were interesting to me that are around my
Those
place.
are
And
very common here too. Those are
yes,
very common here too.
and William was helping me out on the ins and outs of big, huge lizards and what to do. We don't have those in Canada, so it's good to know. Um,
Okay.
So, anyways, do you want to just get into the questions here, William? I think that's what people tuned into
Yeah,
tune in.
that's what people tune it in for, I think.
Absolutely. So, how many questions do you have there in total?
I got two.
Okay, and I got 5. So,
Oh,
well,
look, 10 years against two. So,
okay, well, let's start with the one that we were both talking about last week, which is the best time to play poker. And why
hmm
don't you just go ahead with your thoughts on that first?
I would like to know best time for you or for the games. I mean, because I have talked with a friend of mine just a couple weeks ago, and she is a girl, and she said that when she wakes up, um, go around, do other stuff. She's kind of semi-professional. So when she go to her normal job, makes her exercise and all that, and then play poker, her sessions tends to be really good, and she feels like she's going at the maximum. And as opposed to that, when she just wakes up and go right from the computer, it's a disaster. She was saying.
Mm, okay.
And that's kind of what I have experienced too, that it's important to have a routine and kind of wake your mind. So that would be the first point of the questions, kind of
Yeah.
having a schedule and then kind of turning your brain on. So yeah, now I'm working and getting in. And as for the games, the best times the games are on, I think it's not that different than it was in the past. I mean, it's very different than it was in the past. I always heard that Sunday was kind of glorious, and I still think it's better. But in Sunday, I play only on Stars, and at the Sunday there is more tournaments. So for people who play multi-table tournaments, it's definitely better at Sunday. But as for cash games, I don't really think the games are that better. It's probably a little bit better, but the difference is not huge. And probably one point for that is that poker is kind of a game that everyone plays now. It's not on North America and Europe. People are playing in Asia and I don't know, Australia
Yeah.
and all sorts of places. So the impression that I have is that right now the time that works for you is going to have it's going to be better. I mean, the weekends will always be a little bit better, but if you have a time that works well for you, that's probably being fine, and it's not much worse than any other time. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think kind of.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I pretty much agree with your sentiments. I definitely agree with the idea of a routine. I've experimented in the past with, playing when I first get up and stuff, and I would agree that it's better when when you have a routine, you have breakfast, and you go to the gym or something, and play later in the day when you're more awake, I guess. With that said, I do think that I mean, with the American markets, a lot different now, of course. I'm kind of like not there.
Away,
Yeah,
yeah, not there.
that definitely changed things. But I still think that the best times to play are the North American and South American prime time hours, and the European prime time hours. Um, I do agree with your assessment that there are more and more people from Asia that are getting into the game, and obviously Australia is in that same time zone as well for the most part. But I still think that the vast majority of people that are playing online are coming from places like Canada, Brazil, Russia, England, Germany, France, and places like that. So I do think that that it is best if you play in the prime time hours of the
Yeah,
Americas or Europe.
but that's a big time span and fuse of ours, right? Like Germans like 3 or 4 hours ahead Brazil, and Canada is like 1 or 2 behind.
Right.
So that's still a kind of big span, I think. What was saying is that I kind of agree with you. There are some other hours that are better,
Yeah.
but it's not like if you can't play at those hours, you are doomed. You can't succeed at
Yeah, and
poker. What I'm saying is that some hours are probably better, and those are the hours you said, like the prime hours for North America.
Yeah.
But if you are unable to do that, but you can establish a routine and all that, I think that there's no reason to think you can't succeed at poker.
Yeah, and I mean that's kind of what I was going to get onto here to sort of clarify this statement. Is I think it has a lot to do with the stakes you're playing as well. Like if you're playing like NL25 or something, I mean there's like 100 tables at full ring at any hour practically on PokerStars.
Probably
Um,
more.
yeah, or more. But then if you're playing 3-6 shorthanded or something like that, there's maybe 10 tables in prime time, and then maybe there's two or three in the Asian prime time or something. So that's going to be a big problem for you if you're playing high stakes, um, mid stakes, high stakes. But I think that for micro limit players, I think it's probably not too much of an issue.
Yeah, I kind of I agree completely with you, and I have talked with a high stakes player, and he actually said that for 25-50 games,
Yep.
the best hour is the hour that fish will be there. Like
Right.
there is a big fish that's coming every day, and he comes at X hour. That's the hour that the rags need to be there.
Yeah.
So the games kind of don't run. So when they know that there is a fish and they kind of rings around for a certain time, then they go there. So yeah, just to solidify what you said, that the higher the stakes, the hardest it is to get the fish, they get
Yeah.
the good action, and then the highest should be your concern about that when are you going to play. I
Yeah.
mean, for that, an everyday player, the guys that are playing, let's say, up to 100, any hour that you are okay to play, it's fine.
I think we're both agreed on that. I mean, I think that the vast majority of people that are going to be listening to this are playing at NL100 or below, and I really don't think it matters too much what time of day you play. I personally do live in Asia, so I can speak to the prime time hours here. And as somebody who plays, a lot of NL25, NL50, I never have any problems finding games on a big network like PokerStars. There are a lot of professional poker players who live in this country in Thailand, for instance, that complain about the times here. But a lot of them play a lot higher stakes than I do, or they're tournament players. And I definitely would agree with the that if you are a tournament player, being in Asia does currently suck because the Sunday Million, for instance, starts at 3 a.m. That could be a problem.
Yeah, what I was going to say is that's one of the big advantages of playing cash, that you're kind of free,
Absolutely,
so it's much
absolutely.
better.
Yeah, and I mean, I would think that I mean we're both cash game players. I would think that most people watching this are also cash game players.
I
Um,
believe so.
yeah. So, and I agree. I mean, I love my tournaments. I like to play them every once in a while, but man, there's nothing worse than sitting in a chair for 8 hours and then taking a bad beat and going out in 12th or something. You just want to throw your computer out the
It's
window.
even worse at live if you play games.
Oh God, yeah. Couldn't
You
even
take your
imagine.
car, you go there, then you get a big sick out, and you need to go back home.
Yeah. All right, so let's
It
get
really
on.
sucks.
Let's get on to some other
The next
questions
question?
here. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll go through a couple here, and then we'll get to yours, and then maybe I'll finish up or something like that.
Okay.
So the next question here is from Stephen Newman, and he posted this on Twitter. And his question is, what advice would you give a guy with minor live success but struggling online? So,
I start.
did
Yeah,
you?
this kind of minor or kind of small live success. I have heard this a lot. Guys that say that they had some success live and then they kind of get destroyed online.
All right.
The reality is that the 1-2 games anywhere on the planet for, let's say, live games are that play kind of NL2 and NL5 online.
I agree. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you have a minor success live, you should know that you are still a beginner for the online games. The online games are so much tougher. I
I
mean,
agree. Yeah.
probably the way the 1-2 games play online nowadays are kind of the high stakes cash games you play live. I don't know the highest, but at least the big medium stakes games, something like that. The games are so much tougher online that it's a different world. But if you get the technique to play online, that's a much better job in my opinion. It's a much better business because you don't lose time going to play to a workplace. You can work at your home and you can play more games. So and you can play at much lower stakes and have the same income that you would have playing live at much higher stakes. So you need the less of a bankroll, so less money just stopping there, so you can reinvest your money, you can move up faster. So in general, I think online is much better of a job, but it requires much more technique to kind of start winning and making good money. So what do you think about this, Nathan?
Once again, I don't really have a ton to add because I think I agree with pretty much everything you said. The one thing that I was thinking of when I first saw this question from Steven is that I hear this a lot as well. People have had some minor success live, and then they switch to online, and they have a lot of trouble.
Get destroyed.
Yeah, and I think it really just goes to what you were just saying. I think a lot of people will go and play 1-2 in a casino, and then they'll think that okay, let's go play 1-2 online now, and they're just not the same game at all. I mean, it's like one is like a skill level way up here, and the other is way down there. They're not even close to the same game.
It's very
Absolutely. So I know. So I think a lot of the problem with live players switching over is that they don't want to play no 1 cent, 2 cent, but I think they just need to understand that skill level wise, that is a lot of the time where they should be starting if they're low limit live players, because that is where the those are the games that correlate to the same skill level as what they've been playing in. Even if a 1-2 live player who's had some success even jumps into the NL25 games online, they're probably not going to be a winner. I mean, those games are typically quite a bit more difficult than your average 1-2 live games. So
yeah,
I guess
probably they are. And okay, no, sorry, I had
sorry.
something I had to add, but just finish.
Yeah, I mean, so basically, I'm pretty much agreed with everything you're saying. Once again, I think okay, so really to answer Steven's question, I think that somebody who's had minor success at, I think he said low limit live. I'm not even sure.
I
Um,
think she said just live games in general, and we are
yeah,
assuming that it's kind of 1-2. That's
yeah,
kind of
we're
the game people play.
that's right. Yeah, he didn't specify low limit live, but I would probably assume it's 1-2 or 2-5 or something like that. Basically, my advice is always just start at the lowest stakes, and because I mean, if you go on to play the lowest stakes and you just start crushing them right away, then you just move up. Like it's like there's no big rush, right? So I always just recommend for people who play live to just start at the lowest stakes first. Put $2 on the table and play it 1 cent, 2 cent like everybody else. If you start crushing it right away, move up. Go play the $5 game and then the $10, and
Yeah, exactly. That is no reason to start off at 1-2.
yep,
Even if you are good live and kind of are making a living, I think you can. It doesn't hurt to play at the micros just to get to use it to the software, to the
absolutely,
speed of the game, and
absolutely,
it's very different. And it can be challenging for people. Just the environment, like
yep,
the games getting dealt much faster,
absolutely, yep,
and then you kind of setting your rhythm, how long you can get the sessions going. Because I have been playing live, and you can play at 1 day live, like full back to back, 24 hours or even more, and you'd be fine with that. But remember, it's a format that you are getting at best like 30 hands an hour.
yeah,
Online, if you multi-table, you get easily 500 hands an
yeah,
hour. So
exactly.
and it,
That's
it,
like
it
what
it's much more
15.
tiring. Yeah, you can't get that the same number of hours playing online. That's
Yeah.
just real.
And I guess I would add one more point. It's not really in Steven's question, but a lot of live players have problems when they move to online, because they're like, "Oh my God, there's so many more bad beats and coolers." And no, actually, what's happening is you're seeing 15 times as many hands or something.
Yeah,
So obviously, you need to get a big adjustment for live players coming to online is that the long run, or I mean, yeah, I guess the long run is going to come so much faster to them, and they're not used to seeing so much more. You know, when you're playing so many more hands, you're obviously, you know, a lot of bad stuff is going to happen all at once. A lot of good stuff's going to happen all at once sometimes as well. And so it just goes back to what you were just saying of just it makes sense to just start at the lowest stakes because there's a lot of adjustment to be made between live and online. They are the same game, they share the same rules, but pretty much everything else is different. And of course, the skill level, like we were talking about before as well.
Yeah, it's a completely different environment, and that is no you lose nothing by starting at NO2. Just
Exactly.
play some games, see how you feel with the software, and then keep moving up. Just like Nathan said, that's the way to go.
Yeah. And hey, you could always check out my videos on YouTube about 1 cent, 2 cent, 2 cent, 5 cent. I'm always talking about that. I go to my blog too, and I'm always talking about those games. So, all right,
Okay.
let's get on to the next
So,
question here.
and maybe I can make some now, and you start answering.
Some sorry questions or
Yeah, some of the questions that I have here, and then
sure,
you we get back to yours.
sure, you go ahead.
So I got more kind of poker professional questions. So the first one, Leslie made, and it is: what opportunities do you have as a professional poker player as opposed to your previous job? And she complements with: would you ever return to your regular job?
Okay. And where did Leslie post this on Facebook or Twitter or
She sent that to me on Skype.
oh on Skype? Okay, okay, great.
Yeah, she's kind of a semi-professional poker player. Has a decent side income, but still has a regular daily job.
Okay. So sort of you know, what do you think, and would you ever return to a regular job? Is the question?
Yeah, so I think we can put down as how is it different? What
Right.
kind of ways have opened to you? What can you do that you can't in a
Right.
daily job? And right, and as it is now, would you consider returning to a regular job?
Hmm. Okay, so, well, I'll jump in here. I mean, the answer to would I consider returning to a regular job is definitely no. That's why I got into this in the first place. I love the freedom that playing poker allows. Um, you know, the freedom to play when you want and where you want as well. I get to, you know, I can live pretty much where I want on the planet as long as there's a good internet connection. So it allows me to do some traveling as well, which is something that I really like to do. So um, for me, it's been a big plus. And I guess the other part of the question was, what have I sort of learned, or what's different about it? Well, I think you need to get used. If you're an online player, you need to get used to a more sort of solitary environment. Number one, that's which is a little bit difficult for some people. Um, and you know you need to be able to concentrate for extended periods of time on your own, and also really be able to control your emotions, of course, as well on a not just in the session, but on a day to day level, especially when you're dealing with some pretty ridiculous downswings that can last a long time
Sure.
sometimes. So,
Yeah, actually, what she asked is, what opportunities do you have as a professional poker player that you people that have
oh,
a daily job don't have?
oh, I see. Okay, opportunities. Well, I can record, an interview with people like you, I guess. Um, no, I mean,
Live
obviously,
in
yeah,
Thailand, I mean.
apps from Thailand at 7 in the morning. But yeah, I mean, I think that definitely just the freedom of your schedule. You can take a day off if you feel like it. You don't have to ask the boss. And also, just in my case, there definitely are opportunities that present themselves if you become sort of a more better known online player, I guess, which is maybe working for a training site like we both do. Um, and also just sort of branding yourself and creating a community around yourself, kind of like what I've done with my blog, and then releasing your own educational materials if you want as well, like I have done. So I hope that answers the question there.
I think it's fine. Yeah, for me, about opportunities, I think I have grown a lot more as a person when I started playing poker professionally because it's so challenging. Like it doesn't gives you a schedule, but you kind of need to have something. So
Mm,
for everything in your life, it's free to make it as you want to if you are a professional poker player, but you need to give it to some how can I put that? Some kind of order and like putting a schedule.
right.
And like you said in the beginning about being solitaire and all that kind of a solitaire job, it's more challenging, and I think it pushes you so much more that you end up improving as a person quite a lot. I see a lot of this in me, and just because it's more difficult, it's not like you just sit, answer some calls, and that you need to learn how to stay focused longer. So lots of
Yeah.
poker players that I know, and myself included, turn to meditation, to something
Mm,
like that, and start practicing exercises much more often because our job kind of leads us to gain weight, which is bad.
mm,
But and with that, we kind of lost the ability to concentrate, and that so we need to go after for that. So how you stay in shape, how you stay sharp and do my best when it's needed. So I think this challenging environment, especially like modern the poker games are right now, kind of leads us poker players to improve a lot more, and it's just a necessity.
yeah, I would pretty much agree with all of that. I think a lot of people think that playing poker for a living is like some super cushy, easy job, and it's anything but that in my experience. You know, the old
Yeah, it's
saying,
very tough.
yeah, the old saying, it's a hard way to make an easy living. You know, I mean, it's very difficult for a lot of people. I had a lot of problems when I first started out. You know, you have to be disciplined to put in the hours. There's no boss that's going to be sitting there over your shoulder telling you to work. You know, nobody's going to fire you if you don't show up. You know, so um, there's the whole discipline thing. There's the dealing with downswings a lot of time on your own. You know, is so it takes a really strong individual to do this, and you know, I would agree with you completely that I think that I've grown a lot personally since doing this as well. I guess just to finish up there, William, what is your answer to her question of would you go back
Return
to?
to a regular job.
Yeah,
Yeah, kind of about returning to a regular job. I think when you start to doing things on your own, or it becomes much harder to start to get back and kind
oh,
of have a
totally.
job.
I couldn't even
I
imagine.
think about I think yeah, I think about retire, but to open my own job, and you kind of get more independent with poker
Absolutely.
and have your own dreams. And I mean, everyone has dreams, but you kind of have put someone, and it was kind of just you know, like you working and doing your things and your stuff and answering to only your orders.
Yep,
So that is no turning back from this.
I
I
agree.
would say like once you get in there, we can go to have other projects, but
Yep.
it's always as it will always be as a kind of a self-employed.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard it said many times that I think that if for people that can make it as an online or just a poker player in general for any extended period of time, it's likely that a lot if they're tough enough mentally, emotionally, and stuff to do that kind of thing. That these are the kind of people that generally probably could succeed in a lot of other things, in starting their own business or working for themselves in a variety of other ways. So um, yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you there.
So no turning back.
No turning back for me.